Hey guys, Bolt here, and welcome to the summary slash theory of Vita Carnis's recent terminal rally. This is a very big episode. Anything that has mimics in it, it always does well when it comes to Vita Carnis. I hinted at doing this episode on Wednesday with the summary of the Nancy Drew episode. If you guys don't know, this channel is mostly, it's maining a lot of mystery content. Like, I've been doing Nancy Drew games for years now. I'm currently about to go over to mystery number 15 starting next Monday. We finished up 14 on this Monday and did a summary on Wednesday. And then here on Fridays we kind of do. So Mondays we do Mystery Mondays. Wednesdays we do Wacky, and it's kind of like whatever I want to feel like doing. Fridays are more newer content, so I keep up with some of the trends. This one's a little later than I would like it to be. But I also had Dokkan Battle to deal with last week. And I posted that the day that people data mined two of the big units that were a part of a chart they released with it. But anyways, we're here for a little summary of this. So going into this universe, basically at some random point, a new organism known as like a living meat. I'm trying to remember what it was called. The trimmings, I believe, is what it's called. Is kind of like a vine-like meat substance that it could be ate by humans, and it does nutritious / it also decomposes, making soil rich. So both plant life, animal life, and humans can go and use this. But as it goes, little notches would grow up on these things and drop and develop into multiple other new species. Actually, I know it's not the trimmings. It's known as... Let me go ahead and actually look that up. I know they had a cooking video about it. Crawl. Okay, so crawl is the vines, and then it would drop multiple things. There would be this turtle-like thing that would be used as a pet later on, but it was known as the trimming. And then there was the meat snake, which is just a snake with a giant mouth that can devour any decomposing thing. So it's a vulture. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Basically, it does nothing but eat dead meat. And it takes the skull of whatever it ate last, and as it grows bigger, it can eat bigger things. Trimmings haven't had too much content. The only thing we learned about them is that they in the early parts they interact with they are into things like radio, TV, which is possible, showing that these creatures can they can learn based on information that they can hear, or there's something. There is a little piece of newspaper that says Crawl had vined itself against a radio tower, so it's very possible that they can do something with radio signals. And then with meat snakes, the only thing we learned is that there's kind of like a legendary one, where basically during a war, there was a tunnel that a meat snake just devoured a bunch of bodies and just clumped up so hard that it blocked the way, and it had evolved into a skin that was so tough and so thick that it changed color, smelled different, and its skin was so hard to cut. And then eventually it left. And it's possible that something underneath that I'll mention later happened. We have the I know there's the Harvester, which is basically a humanoid that is basically it's rooted in the grounds, but the top half is like humanoid, and it basically spits out spores so that. Well, hold on. Yet again, I'll go back to the channel and make sure I'm saying this right. No. Okay, so there's meat, snake, crawl, trimmings. The Harvester is something else. Host of Influencer is the one I'm talking about. Host of Influencer spits out spores. Whomever breathes it in, it starts messing with your brain, and it basically it's like hypnosis, kind of like it's like a brain controlling fungus, and it'll lead you to the host of influence, and you'll give yourself to it to basically rip you, eat you, and then just uproot and walk away. And you could be cured either by I believe there is a cure that they did do, or just having the person that is infected stay away from it for a certain amount of hours. It'll eventually wear off. The Harvester is what I was talking about, and from what I understand is it kind of works like a normal plant where it will the seed, or like the notch, will actually continue to eat off of the crawl and kind of like absorb its mother plant into itself and kind of like root itself exactly in that area. And it looks like a giant egg, but really it's just a bunch of vines that are super dangerous, that when it feels a certain amount of weight, like if it's a deer or something, it will come up, attack with like vines that have spines on them that puts in like coagulants, which is basically it stops you from clotting up blood, so you'll bleed out. And it also has like a paralysis effect too. So you're just sitting there bleeding out. You can do absolutely nothing, and then once you're dead, it'll absorb your blood, and then like it'll have these little tiny other vines that are like deeper down, that'll come up, take your body, and then shovel it down, and basically from the nutrients it'll absorb. And we've seen this happen to a family, sadly. A lot of these things we did learn that can be killed. Like with the Harvester, you think it's just don't approach it. We've seen someone have like I'm trying to remember what it is. It's like it can scan for like vital organs, and you just take it out. There's the monoliths, which is just like it's a rare species that are only made of a circle. It's kind of like I'm trying to remember what it is. It's like one of those the seven wonders of the world. This is one of them, and it's basically just like it'll surround a certain area. They tried to attack it. It sent out an EMP blast, went into attack mode, and the one that got attacked, it healed right back up. And basically, they just haven't been touched in forever. And then the biggest one that everyone loves for the series, which it seems like everything that is like this, the Mimic, which is basically a humanoid creature that it starts looking like a very skinny trimming, and then it'll eat off of little creatures until a certain point where it hits a certain like growth, and it'll start going on its hind legs, and it'll start developing more humanoid characteristics, and then it'll start hunting humans. And it's actually a very perfect killer because it'll observe you, and it'll pick you apart from everyone, walk you to your home, and instead of putting you to sleep, it makes you sure you're gonna stay in sleep. So basically, it knows how to cover itself. It'll blend in with clothing. If it can get to any kind of furniture, it'll hide in furniture. That way, you can come back home, and as soon as it knows that you're either cornered or asleep, it'll come out and kill you. And basically, after eating, it'll go out, like, it'll most likely like root like the rest of them and like sit there and process it and then go back and kill again. And we've learned of two like evolutions. The biggest one we've seen in a past video was that after a certain amount of time, it will gain human skin and be able to. In this newest one, we learned that it can mimic voices and it can learn human speech. And then the biggest one is if it has such a big mass of humans, it turns into an elder, which we know so little about, but it is one of the most coolest looking things because all it is a face in the darkness, and the rest of it is just so darkened out that you can't see it in the dark. You'll just see a giant smiling face in the darkness looking back at you. And basically, I think it is proven that it can be affected by bullets, but it does take a little bit higher of a caliber, and it takes a lot to kill one. I think, like most of them, except including the Elder, was able to be put down. But I know for sure the Elder one is so much higher of a killer that it's like biology is so perfected. And then we learned of a secret one known as the Singularity, which basically it is kind of like the control center. There's a few of them actually. We learned that there's several, and they're like the control centers for all these creatures. And we learned that basically it is like contacting all these creatures to sweep everything and meet at one point. So it kills and takes a bunch of stuff, basically reaping everything they can to kind of gain this mass. And then we also learned through little like static points that there's a little fairy tale story about a prince that got lost at sea. Because he was injured, he went into a healing sleep. The people of that place that he washed onto find him. They're in a terrible drought of food. They had like a bad harvest, I think it was, and they're like needing food and they need supplies, and they wake a minority of these people wake him up to try to help them, and he has magic and he's able to bring back life to the thing, and they praise him and basically put him as a god figure, and eventually when they start thriving again, he leaves. I don't think we've seen any more of that story, but it's believed that those people go on to become cultists for this, and basically this prince's magic is possibly turned into these meat creatures. Eventually we do, at the end of season 1, a government force is able to hunt down a big part of where the cultists are. They find a bunch of people who are like a part of major things like government officials, and they find the singularities. And we also learned that the singularities are thinking things, and I think it's the first contact. They use radio signals to talk to them, and basically these things will take any organism. Like there was a dead cow, and it like turned that cow into an entire like system of crawls. So basically any organism can be turned into a crawl and eventually turn into any other thing. So just a simple squirrel falling down and dying, just that's crawl now, and it'll just keep going. It's kind of like The Walking Dead, where it's just like, as long as there's human beings, there's always a chance for another zombie to exist. So you can kill them all off, but if someone never kills someone, like takes the brain out of someone who has passed away from something, that thing can come on and restart the apocalypse. So unless you can figure out how to kill these singularities off, you're dealing with these possible things, just redoing the entire start. And then they start like taking in all these creatures, testing them out. We learned that the trimmings, the little pet creatures, they have like a wave of their own, and they can it's probably not even just the trimmings. It's probably the entire meat creatures that can just contact one another, because they did a little test with a single mimic, a single trimming, brought it back into a society and circle, and they just taught each other very quickly what certain things mean. And they tested out on an outside group that had absolutely no contact with this group of mimics and of trimmings, and they even knew. So it's very possible they have waves to communicate through, or like just radio signals whatsoever. And then the other biggest thing is they start learning more about mimics and how they work, what things can kill them. And then this most recent one goes more in depth to mimics, and I am happy. So let's go into it. So basically, we meet Dr. Farron, who is a expert on mimics. On February 1st of 95, he requests to... Oh, wait, hold on. So February 1st of 95, a person known as B, the letter B, as in buzzing bees, basically, after 4 months of not having contact with Farron, asked someone to go looking for him. And back in February of September 20th of 92, a humans and elder like mimics, like the final stages of the mimic processes, are very hard to find because the human mimics are blending in, and elder mimics are a rare thing because when mimics are noticed to be in the area, people disperse and kind of stay away, and they kind of have a higher alert. That way, like, yes, a mimic can get a hold of a lot of people, but the mills are going to be far in between. And then they're very clueless about elder mimics. There's only one time, and I think it is during that raid to get the singularity, they kill off an elder mimic. I need to look back on that, but they only have killed a single one, and that's it. That's the only one that they had in custody. The rest of them were only sightings. And then on October 2nd of 94, Farron is given the approval to do a field study. And let's see, so on probably the 3rd, he goes in, sets everything up in a house, and it doesn't look good because we notice something very quickly. Let me go ahead and switch over. This is the house he's staying in. He's setting up equipment. He's setting up cameras to video thing. He's got a nanny cam, nanny radio. They kind of like, I don't know what it is, but you can hear things over that. But here's the thing: is right here. It looks like there's a board here, and it looks like something came through here, and we know what came through here. Let me go ahead and go over. This is the Mimic Defense instructional tape. Basically, I think it is a couple. There's this one guy who wants to take a short film for college, and he's going out trying to videotape some stuff through a area that's been evacuated. His girlfriend or whomever he's with is videotaping, and she is trying to find him when he goes out of her eyesight, and it's found out that a mimic has attacked and started to eat him, and then because she got too close to the feeding area, it hunts her down, comes back to the house. But anyways, yeah, right. That breaking of glass. I'm trying to. Yeah, right there. Just so this is where it's boarded up. He broke through. There's a setting of white doors there. So this is probably where this came up. Popping back over here. I love having these scenes. But I noticed that, so what is noticeable is that this mimic that we're dealing with is most likely the mimic from the defense instructional tape. Have gained, this is his hunting ground. Because it's basically that we know that there's at least one mimic in this area, and this is his territory. On day 1, it's basically setting up. On day 3, the mimic enters. Let me go ahead and hunt down. He, during that video cam, he stupidly, instead of having a camera like some Five Nights at Freddy's crap and just switching between cameras, he has a panel that tells him where a triggered motion detector is, which is cool and all, but if you can't see what the problem is, how can you go against this? It's just I just see it as so stupid. But here's something that I don't see a lot of people talking about. A lot of people just say the noise from this is what draws in the mimic. But so the mimic is going through the house, checking all the rooms, making sure there's no one there to prey upon. And then he makes a mistake.
See if I can listen in. It stopped.
What do you think happened there? I think I mentioned earlier with the trimmings, radio. These meat creatures can detect radio signals, and a nanny monitor or whatever is a one-way radio system. He can hear what's from the other side of that radio, and the radio is picking up the noise. But the thing is, it's a radio wave. So when this mimic all of a sudden is just wandering through the house, and then all of a sudden, just to kind of hear in and tune in to kind of hear what's going on, it notices that radio wave and just says, someone's here. And probably because these things probably have such a high intelligence, because a lot of these things are the mindless animals, no, this thing is just I know exactly where you are. And basically, so at I think it is at 2 a.m., he turns on this camera to be oh my gosh, it finally entered the video. It is day 3, 2 a.m., early in the morning. It is starting to go through the thing. So it thinks he's asleep, and he's trying to quickly kill Farinoff and wandering the house. And then when that radio signal goes off, everything goes dead. And at 4 a.m., movement hasn't happened, and I think he says that movement has slowed down on a front door, but for 2 hours now, almost nothing has came up. And then at 6 a.m., he thinks it's fine. He's maybe it was just
Why is everyone spiraling over?
Hold on. I hate it when they do this. I'm just trying to search the video, man. Get away. He thinks it's probably some kind of dog or something, and he pops out. Got his Glock and is just scanning the area. When he spots it, and it spots him. Yeah, it's fun. So that was an elder mimic. Like I said earlier in the thing, it's just a face with a bunch of black, so it's very hard to see in the dark. But yeah, it takes notice of him, and instead of hunting for him, he knows he's gonna come up with a fight. He probably knows about the gun through the radio waves, so he's like, let me play this safe and back off, kind of make him think I'm gonna go wander off and do my own thing. And he kind of just waits. And it's just like a back and forth for a good while. It's just like he wanders around the front door thinking that maybe he would probably run after noticing that there's a mimic in the house, thinking like, hey, if he were to run, he's going to go straight out over the one door that exists in the house, and I'm just going to get him as he runs. And then when he notices that he's not leaving, he starts like wondering and making his own thing. And on day 6, I think, is what it sounds like. So he says day 6, and then there's a skip to another point where he mentions a legend through the cultist that the cultist believed that through the god, which is probably the prince, that elder mimics are like the ultimate warrior made by God. Then he thinks he should leave. He really thinks he can leave. Oh, come on. I hate it when it can't let me. He thinks he can leave. Yeah. Buddy thought he was safe. Sorry for that little crappy thing. The timing wasn't wanting to work, and everything's weird. Anyways, so basically this mimic knows about the cameras. He knows about the sensors. So he crawls so subtly so the sensors won't go off. He can get up to this door without no problem. And he's just waning there. And by the way, this is the thing that no matter what I do, that face of just creeps me out every single time. Just the other 2 times we see him, like the coral, like that thing, gets me a little spooky, but I'm kind of used to it now because it exists and you kind of know that it's coming. Where like there's another point later on that it's just like, oh, you're done for. This one is just like, you think he'd be like a little bit further back. No, he's in my face, bro. Get up off me. But anyways, day 11, he's just getting anxious. He's so scared, and he gets like an imprint on these mimics that he has the face memorized on this thing. I'm trying to get a good look on it, but he drew a picture of the elder mimic's face. He got so scared on that up and close and personal that he just shat himself and was like, I'm gonna draw all this, man. And then let's see, let me go ahead and undo that. It is later on that day that the mimic starts teasing him and making fun of him. Let's go ahead and just play this out. Oh.
Please stop. I can't stand this.
So basically, I didn't want to keep going back, but basically it mimicked his voice about complaining of him being stuck, and then it goes into him crying, and then it goes into like a laugh cry. It kind of reminds me of like Felt Face, the comedian. he was telling a story that was fabricated, and he was talking about Morgan running at him with an I think it was a sledgehammer, like a hysterical breakdown laugh, and then he tries to go guns a blazing, like I'm gonna just fight my way out. And yeah, he Big Bro didn't like that.
At least. Or maybe even kill it. Then I just run. Run as fast as I can. Then I could possibly make it out. Then I... Oh. No. 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 No.
So basically, it's just, it was still standing there, and once he started hearing, oh, you're gonna try something? Let me try something too, and just like, you were never safe. I was playing games with you. He could have pulled that door off its hinges from day one. Well, day 3 when he finally got into the house and knew that he was there. But basically, he's been playing around with his food, and is basically like, hey, I can do whatever I want here. And day 22, basically he tries to wait out waiting for people to come. I think it's day 20 when people are supposed to like, hey, it's a 20-day experiment. If he's not coming back or hasn't responded, we'll come get you. But on day 22, it's skipped. Well, no, I think it still shows day 20 and that he's like waiting. He's like settled and waiting for people. But day 22 is like, it's been a while and they're not here, so they're probably not going to come. And then on day 28, he gives up. He's just, I have no more food. I tried my best. He's just playing with me at this point. And at this point, he hides the camera, because he knows that this company that he like left out.
When your
I
client...
fucking hate you. When your clients, let me go ahead and go back a little bit more. But it's just like he's like, I know that these people don't care about me. They sent me out here to die, either to shut him up or just, hey, we're not going to be able to get this kind of evidence without, or like this stuff without you dying. And we get the most gruesome part of Vita Carnis to this point.
I know now. I'm ready. I know he knows. This is it. There you are.
And we'll come back to this real quick. But, yeah, it's gruesome. Just like, he's given up. As soon as he's just like, alright, I'm ready for this thing when it comes for me. And it does. It's just like, alright, since we're done with the Cow and the Mouse, I'll just break down the door, come at you at full force, do the whole teasing, oh. And even with the Colt, he's just doing nothing. And maybe that's another thing, is maybe just shooting him point blank was more of, let me make you overconfident. Maybe that was his best play, is to run back into the room. Because if he's aiming and shooting at him, and just rushing at him, there isn't that much distance. Him being able to aim right at the face would not be a problem. So the fact that it's doing nothing, I believe that when he shot him on, what was it, day 16, I believe when he did that point blank shot and it screeched, I don't think that was him being affected. I just think that was him playing the part of, oh no, I'm hurt. Oh, what can I do? Just waiting to see if he would come out. And that would be like an easy prey thing. It's just like, let me go ahead and give you some hope that you're gonna run off, but him being scared may have saved his life for a few more days. But it's just the tearing of flesh and all that is like before it made you think that it was like just like a 1-2 gulp and just like shoving down flesh. No, this one sounds like it's enjoying its meal. And then on February 17th of 95, so about 4 months after the initial okay that he would be approved for a field test, the B at the beginning of the footage sent out people to look for him. They found both his body and they found a camera cord on his that he hid. But it's noticed that no other equipment like his tape recorder, none of the cameras, none of his like sensors were there. So no other equipment he set up was still there. Which it is believed of a few things here. The company that he worked for that left him to die eventually came through knowing that either he would die by starvation or he would be cornered and killed by a mimic. They came by, took all the stuff, took all the information. But because he hid the camcorder and because camcorder was not a part of his like original equipment, because you can tell that he kept his audio from the video separate. So it looks like he was video camming for these other people that he was in contact with, so they can get visual and audio evidence. So 2-in-1, where the audio would be more strict. Here's what I done so far. So he would give a summary of the day to the audio, but he would visually show what's all happening. To this other people, which I believe is kind of like a resistance against these other members, because if another resistance talk is if like all these people are coming out of their way to stop an actual like misinformation, getting a hold of all these people you can is nice, but for them to kind of limit the information to the public, get a hold of it, kind of keep it hush-hush, is kind of weird. And then another idea is that possibly with the intelligence level of these meat creatures getting more and more like shown, it is believed that maybe this elder mimic went out and destroyed the evidence, like took the evidence, went somewhere and destroyed it or got rid of it, trying to avoid people learning more about its methods, or like catching on that those radio signals actually did something to it. Another big theory that I've seen through a lot of reactors is that that the cultists are having their hand in it. Like even though they like a big major parties have been like found through the taking of the singularities, that maybe possibly cultists are still existing in this company, and are like trying to hide information about the meat creatures. Or during the first contact video with the singularities, I believe the very end of that is that if you join us, it'll be a lot easier, basically. And it's like maybe the singularities forced their way and took over this company, and through that are just going to take the resources and power of this company and just hush everyone that knows about stuff. And to like stop it from doing its purpose. the video ends with a person named V responding most likely to B. So B in the beginning of the video, we learned a V at the very end, and basically they're saying, looking through this footage and looking at what's happened, it is very like the hint, like this also like the one phrase that it says is hinting at with the equipment missing, by something or someone. This is trying to stop learning from anything else. So it's like, so at first we thought these were just creatures that were slowly learning and picking up on stuff. It looks like there is something trying to silence a learning of information. And it makes it more of a dire scenario. But anyways, this was a big thing I wanted to go over. I'm sorry if I got a little cringy there at the end, with like the video going back and forth, like, hey, look at this thing, ooh! But I want to try to get going on some of this stuff. I also start needing to get copyright-free music in the background so you guys can get into the vibes. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Like I said, mystery number 15. It is the Creature of Kapu Cave, I believe, is what we're going with on Nancy Drew. I already have it installed, ready. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye-bye. Bye.